Welcome to RealmCast, Season 2, Episode 8. I am Game Masters Bornox, and with me is Buff Soldier, and over here to my left is our friend Sir Racha.
Hey, yo.
Hey, what's up?
How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, post 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, how was your 4th of July weekend?
It was pretty cool. We had some awesome weather out here. It wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold, so lots of barbecues, enjoyed the ocean a little bit. It was cool.
Sir Racha?
I slept all day. It was nice. Only because I was recovering from the 3rd of July instead of the 4th. So
Did you have a lot of candy?
Too much candy.
Too many
had quite
sweets.
the tummy ache.
I was in Wisconsin, so I had a lot of cheese and family bonding time.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad you didn't bring back any cheese for us.
I know, my grandparents actually went to the cheese factory without me, so...
I asked you for a sous vide, and you didn't.
I apologize, Sriracha. I apologize. But so much has happened over the course of time since we've been away,
Yeah, it's been a few weeks, and they've been some crazy weeks.
and we have a special guest as a result of those crazy weeks.
Should we do a drum roll?
Do it,
Drum roll.
ArbiterZ. Arbiter.
Arbiter, yes, ArbiterZ.
So he's spoken to the community on the forums, but now we're going to dig a little bit deeper. We'll take a few player questions, but first we have some of our own we wanted to ask him. Welcome to RealmCast.
Thank you.
You already mentioned that you're the new lead on Realm, but what does I think some of our players want to know what that entails, being the new team lead. So what do you do here?
Well, it's going to be basically with the new team that we have. Going to be responsible for making sure that the game stays on track in terms of content releases, making sure that basically everything runs smoothly. My job is to make sure that I have as little work to do as possible, because that means everything's running smoothly.
It's a kick-ass job.
Yeah, sounds like a great job. So things don't run smoothly, we just blame Sriracha.
Yeah, you just blame Sriracha.
Okay.
It's okay. That's cool.
So, what's your gaming style? We know that you played around for a little bit. What other games do you play? What do you like to play?
Usually I'm mostly a PC gamer, so as I mentioned in my introduction thread, I mostly like playing MMORPGs. So my favorite game is EverQuest. Last time I've checked, I've played over 45 MMOs. So yeah, I enjoy playing basically all types of MMOs. MMOs that focus on PvP, MMOs that focus on story, that focus on PvE quest content. Pretty much if there's a new game coming out, especially if it's an online game, I'll try it.
So EverQuest or EverQuest 2?
I played both. EverQuest was my favorite.
So you've played a number of MMORPGs, obviously, 45 in your life.
Played a few.
Yeah, a tiny bit. So as you are quite familiar with them, we want to know, in your own words, what makes Realm stand out from the rest?
I think that the easy answer, and the thing that most people pick up on, is obviously the art style and permadeath. But I think the one thing that really makes the game different is that it's fairly easy to pick up and play. The tutorial does actually a pretty good job of teaching you how to play really quickly. You get the game, you understand it in a few minutes. However, because it's skill-based, it takes a long time to master. It's not easy jumping into the Godlands and surviving, or jumping into a dungeon, trying to solo a dungeon. That takes a long time to master. And so I think that's one of the big things that you don't see in a lot of other MMOs.
Yeah, it's been kind of funny watching some of the new team members jump into the Godlands. I don't think they have quite liked us letting them level up to about 14, 15 and say, yeah, go to the Godlands, you'll be fine. And then
Sergeant Sunshine wasn't so sunshiny about that one.
Yeah, I don't think he's on speaking terms with us right now. And the kind of music that we've had queued up every time he dies does not help either.
I think a lot of players would be pleased to know that you actually picked up Realm before Kabam acquired it. So, tell us some of your history, playing Realm, and what's your favorite character so far, dungeons, all that goodness.
Sure. So, yeah, like I said in the introduction thread, it was towards the end of 2011 when I picked up the game. The only reason I even remember that is because I had just moved on to a new team, and one of the engineers on the team at the time was playing this goofy-looking 2D MMO shooter. And he actually got a bunch of us to start playing. And there was probably a group of 3 or 4 of us that were hooked on it. Pretty much played it ever since. I think my favorite Well, my favorite dungeon is probably Manor of the Immortals. I just thought it was really cool looking. But in terms of bosses, I really like Davy Jones. I think it was fun when the dungeon released, watching players try to figure out how to beat it, because they were just blasting Davy Jones and he wasn't dying. So that was always that I think is probably my favorite boss for that reason. In terms of classes, I probably have to say my two favorite classes. Well, if I'm in a trollish mood, Mystic is definitely my favorite class. But otherwise, Paladin is my favorite class.
Trollish. Wait, what do you mean trollish mood? You
Just kind of run around stasising things.
stasis those and agents.
So you say the Paladin's the other one.
Yep.
That's your favorite. So I'm going to have to ask on behalf of the entire community, do you foresee a Paladin buff in the future?
I wouldn't say like 100% yes, but I'm not saying 100% no either. Class balance is definitely something that we want to look at. It's not uncommon for classes, characters to get balanced, to see changes throughout their life in MMORPGs. I mean, you see it with pretty much every major game out there. I don't think we've seen a lot of huge overhauls to the various classes that are in the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we try to tackle that. Especially I know the melee classes are pretty rough. And with pets, it has made healing not quite as useful as a class character for both priests and paladins. So it's definitely something that we will be looking at in the future. I just can't 100% say that paladins will get buffed.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the dungeon goes, what makes the Manor of the Immortals your favorite?
I actually just like the way it looked. It probably sounds really stupid, but there's lightning effects in it. So when you're standing next to windows, there's light that kind of shadows on the ground for a moment whenever there's lightning. It's really dumb, but I thought it was like, I don't know. It kind of blew my mind when I saw it because it's just a level of depth that I wasn't expecting to see in a 2D game.
For the record, I was really excited when I saw the lightning effect. I thought that was sick.
Well, plus there's Lord Ruthven, so he's pretty amazing too.
Everybody loves Lord Ruthven. So cool.
So one of the hot topics in Realm right now that I know you're well aware of is the current soul binding of UT items. And I mean, we've gone over the reasons we've done it a few times here on RealmCast and on the forums. But what are your thoughts on long-term possibilities for soul binding of UTs?
So yeah, obviously soul binding all UTs is not what's best for players. There's nothing worse than getting a white bag and having it be a UT that you didn't need or for a class you don't play, and having no outlet for trying to trade it to someone else, trying to trade it for stat pots, whatever. But at the same time, there is a very real problem with taking the rarest items in the game through various exploits, duplicating them, and then basically ruining the game economy. I think those are kind of the two opposite ends of the spectrum, and neither of them make for a good game economy and a good game experience for users. So we're going to have to look into ways of correcting that. And I don't think soul binding all UTs is the answer, but I don't have an answer yet. So it's something that we are definitely aware of, something that we will be looking into. And as soon as we have an update on that, we'll make sure that it either goes out through a RealmCast, through a forum update, through a Twitter update, somewhere just to get it out to players.
Cool. So be on the lookout for that, players. I know a lot of you are wondering.
So kind of along those lines of, brainstorming ideas and stuff, how will you go about selecting ideas to implement in Realm?
We have a big hat that we put all of our ideas in, and every Tuesday we pull out. No. The big hat of Realm.
That's what you were doing yesterday.
That's what I was doing yesterday. That's why I was so busy. No, I think it's going to be. I think that I said it in again. I'm quoting the introduction thread a lot, but I said it in the introduction thread that I think the players have some amazing ideas. And especially as the new people on our team get up to speed, I don't think there's no one on the team that feels like no one that's new on the team that feels like they know better than the community. So we'll be looking to the community for input, for suggestions, for solutions to issues that they're having. Now, that's not to say that we're going to implement everything that gets suggested, but that's definitely going to be one of the ways that we're going to be looking to add new content to the game, is by basically reaching out to users. reaching out to our moderators, and then reaching out to people who know the game best to basically add content.
This next question comes to us from Ixanica. So there were a lot of questions about the shatters. So this one kind of encompasses all. So here we go. Hello, ArbiterZ. I saw your thread on the forum, and I couldn't help but notice the part about the shatters. I've been supporting these shatters for a long time now, and I'm really interested about it being implemented into the game. Have you got any more information on this?
Yeah, I guess we have maybe a little bit more information. So I think one of the things that people ask me through private message if they see me in game or on the forums is why we picked the shatters over some of the other dungeons. There were definitely other dungeons that are out there. There are other dungeons that have a lot of user support. And I think the shatters, in addition to having a lot of user support, I think at this point it's up to 1,400 supporters. It lays everything out really nicely in such a way that our team really shouldn't need much extra information to actually go out and build the dungeon. It lays things out in terms of basically every monster you're going to fight, the loot, the dungeon layout, the effects for the bosses, and really what we're going to be looking to do for user-suggested dungeons specifically is we're going to build a template that basically anyone can fill out. It's not going to be something that you can fill out in 5 minutes, but it's going to be a template that you can fill out and basically create a complete suggestion for a dungeon. And after looking at some of the top user-suggested dungeons, we felt that the Shatters was probably the best representation of what we would be looking for. So we're going to be taking that, building the dungeon, and then releasing the template for everyone to then fit their suggestions to. Now, in terms of any updates about the dungeon itself, the team is getting up to speed on the actual design of it. They're reading through the forum. They're reading through the forum thread, getting familiar with the monsters, getting familiar with the layout, the bosses. So right now we don't have an actual timeline for when it should be released. However, it is going to be one of the first things we work on. So of that list of, I think, 5 or 6 promises that were in the introduction thread or things that we were considering for content, the Shatters is definitely going to be one of the first things we do because it'll be a great way for our team to both learn the tools and learn the game, because dungeons are a very core part of the Realm experience.
Kind of to add on to that question, there were some concerns brought up in the forums about whether we would be following the design for the Shatters verbatim, or would we be, doing some balancing tweaks or looking for things that will kind of just even out some things. Because the Shatters, it's been around for a while, so There are some concerns. Do you want to kind of just touch on that a little bit?
So I think what we will likely do, now I can't say it for certain because we haven't actually started building it. What we will likely do is build it more or less verbatim and then start testing it. If because of the introduction of newer tiers and harder content and pets, if it's just not difficult enough, because I know the Shatters specifically was supposed to be the end-all be-all of difficult content. If it's not, then we'll definitely go about tweaking it and adjusting it. But what will likely happen, now just don't hold me to this because it could change, is that we will likely build it verbatim, test it, probably on testing, and then go from there to make balance adjustments. I know one of the concerns is that the dungeon seems, at least initially, very unfriendly to melee classes, so that's something that we're obviously going to want to address. Maybe we do adjust a few of the bosses to make them more melee friendly while keeping some of the bosses very ranged focused.
So this next question comes from an anonymous player. Didn't want to say his name. ArbiterZ, what are some aspects of RotMG that you would like to put emphasis on while developing in order to make the game better? Some examples could be teamwork, cool loot, simplicity, or difficulty.
Okay. Well, being that the game is an MMORPG, I think there are some very core experiences that we're going to want to focus on. And then some experiences that we're going to want to focus on specifically because this is Realm of the Mad God. So first and foremost, we're going to want to make sure that there's compelling both solo and group content for users. So we're going to make sure that there's going to be content in the future that players can go through without requiring the aid of other players to actually have fun. But in addition to that, we are going to be looking at releasing content that will be more focused on group play. So one of the things that we're considering is having some of the epic dungeons require more than one user or more than 2 or 3 users in the dungeon to actually get through. One idea is that actually take Pirate Cave, for example. If we want to make the epic version of Pirate Cave require a group, users would actually start in a room with walls that would regenerate health that would require more than just a solo person to get through. So if players actually want to take on the dungeon, there's going to have to be a group of them. They're going to have to get through the wall, and then they can actually get into the dungeon. Now, from there, if people want to leave and then you solo it, that's fine. But it's more focused on group play than some of the other things in the game. Also, being that this is Realm of the Mad God, we're obviously going to want to focus on difficulty. So we're going to want to make sure that now that the game has higher tiers of weapons, armor, and accessories, and pets, we're going to make sure that the content matches that, so that just having a pet doesn't mean you can breeze through the content, that it's going to be difficult, that your characters are going to die. This is Realm of the Mad God. That's really, I think, one of the things that makes the game cool, and if you take that away, I think the game loses a lot of its appeal. So I'd say probably the 3 things are going to be engaging solo content, engaging group content, and then really focusing on difficulty.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what we're going to do with some of that group content. Yeah, that's going to be really interesting.
Play with your friends. Yeah.
The next question is, hey, ArbiterZ, how's it going? My question is...
It's going well. Next question.
My question is, when will we start to see all those amazing promises being implemented? I don't expect for you to introduce everything in one update, but I wouldn't mind an answer as to what would be in the next update.
Sure. So you are correct. Not everything listed is going to be in one update, unless that update's not going to come for a very long time. I again mentioned in the introduction thread that all the content listed not going to be in the next update. It's probably not even all going to be in July. Actually, I can 100% guarantee that all the content will not be released in July. It won't all be released in July and August, just given that we do have some new team members joining us, myself included, and some of the things on that list, like Elder Realms, are a very large undertaking. Things are going to take time. So one of the things I can say, however, right now I can't pinpoint a date, is that the first thing that we're going to be doing in the next release is going to be releasing 1, maybe 2 epic dungeons. So we're going to be taking a look at some of the beginning dungeons in the game, Pirate Cave, the Forest Maze, the Spider Den, and those are going to be the first epic dungeons that we look to introduce. Right now, that's the only thing slated for what would be the next update. However, chances are there will be more things on top of that. Bug fixes, miscellaneous things as well.
Cool.
Wow, so there's just a ton of stuff coming out, and I'm pretty excited. How about you guys?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of experience and talent on this team. A lot of MMO backgrounds. By the way, it was 3 days ago was the 10-year anniversary of the release of Star Wars Galaxies. Just need to throw that out there.
Yay.
Moving on.
You had EverQuest. I had Star Wars Galaxies.
I played Star Wars Galaxies. I liked it.
We're going to take a little break here, and ArbiterZ and Buff are going to step out and start working on that new content, while our friend Sriracha and I are going to go over some community news.
Woo!
Thanks again for coming in, ArbiterZ.
You're welcome.
We love you.
Community news. It's now time for community news with Sriracha, Mr. Community.
Community news.
Yeah, so we have 3 events we're going to talk about because the number 3 is fantastic.
Yeah, everything good comes in 3s.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
Why don't we talk about the most recent one, the Fight for Independence video contest.
Tell me all about it.
That was pretty cool. Ask me a question about it.
If I was up on a rooftop, throwing out firecrackers, who am I? What video am I?
You would quite possibly be Gyro2.
Yeah. I watched that one. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Some of these were really creative. I think we got a good 15 entries, something like that. So not too many, but of the ones that we got, they were really, really good. So a few winners that we posted on the official YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all that. Just to go through the names real quick, we got Blue Marble, Bledixon, Wiserhood, Gyro2, and XMBotX. So some of these are actually some familiar names that we see.
I'm
on the
really
forums a lot.
impressed. Yeah, I agree. I've recognized almost all of them, and I'm impressed because all these people have skills
Yeah, and nunchuck skills and computer hacking skills.
and every other skill you could ever want.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they have, when it comes down to it, they have skills.
Yeah, and I think one that was particularly skilled was Gyro 2s. That was the one that you had mentioned earlier with
Oh,
the fireworks
yeah.
show in the Sprite World, and
I liked the music too.
yeah,
So we had the fourth fight for independence, and then there was the arena lore.
that's right. That one was last month. So we did with the release of the arena last month. I thought it'd be really cool just to see what some of our Realm writers could come up with, and some of these were actually really cool. I mean, in the original thread, I had asked I threw some example questions in there, like who are the spectators or how did it come to be in the Nexus, and there was just a lot of really creative, really visual, really visceral stories that came through. I mean, one that I thought was really cool came from someone named a player named Zareo. He had a really interesting take on how the spectators in the arena actually came to be. So if you guys get a chance to check out Zareo's story, it's really cool. But it ends really creepily. It left me oh dude, I don't feel safe anymore. I don't know.
You don't feel safe anymore.
I didn't feel safe after I read the story because then I thought I'd be doomed.
Every time you went into the arena.
Yeah, I'd be doomed to be an arena spectator with bleeding eyes. And do you mind if I read a portion?
Just go right ahead.
I'll just read. Should I read the finale? I think I'll read the finale.
Yeah.
The ending part. The monsters weren't attacking, yet they were still saying the same words. I didn't react. I pressed on towards Oryx. That is as much as I can remember. I am writing this with the rest of my sanity. Please don't enter the arena. Please, my eyes, help me, help me, help me. Help me.
That's wonderful.
It's pretty good.
That is really good.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some of these. The last lore had me really going. As well. I want to see some of these put on as plays.
I think that would be cool.
We could get Broadway, Realm on Broadway.
The Realm of the Mad God, the musical.
Oh man, and it'll be like, I'm a wizard, pew pew pew. I'm Sriracha.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that'll be interesting.
We have fun with the lore, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We don't have fun. And then last but not least, that's such a cliche saying. Why did I even say that?
Because you're a noob.
Oh man. Yes. So we have something going on right now called the Pirate King Challenge.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was just a cool little contest that your GMs kind of whipped up, just to get more people involved because we wanted to give everybody a shot to win a really sweet prize.
Sweet.
Yeah, so we're offering at this point. I think by the time this gets posted, it should be over. But at this point in time, we're offering a released untiered ability for anybody that submits a video of them finishing the Pirate Cave the fastest. So these runs are ridiculously fast. I was just looking over some of the entries. We got someone that posted an 8-second time just because it was right around the corner.
8 seconds?
8 seconds. All they did was run around the corner and killed Dreadstump and exit.
I know that the Pirate Cave is easy. We all know this. But 8 seconds?
Yeah, but it's really just one of those luck of the draw type things because the dungeon's always random. So I thought that was really cool because maybe you do need a measure of skill to get around, but you also need to be lucky if you want to win something cool.
For sure. So are we gonna do more with this in the future? Or
yeah.
what?
So just based off of the enthusiasm that I'm seeing from folks, I think it'd be really cool to do with the forest maze, just because it's one of those dungeons that you kind of need to navigate your way through. So that'd be really interesting to watch. You get through the forest maze, how quickly can you do it?
How quickly can you kill the squirrels, the ultimate squirrels?
That's right, the ones that throw those huge acorns.
My goodness, they are so big.
Yeah.
Those big acorns from the squirrels.
Yeah. And the giant moth queen.
It looks like there's a giant moth queen looking to get in the room right now. So we're
Where is
probably
she?
just right outside the door. Do you see it?
That's Arbiter.
Arbiter! This RealmCast has been pretty fun.
Yeah, I think it's been very informative, given all the changes that the team has seen over the last, week or two.
You can reach us all in the forum and on Twitter at ROTMG_news. Our Facebook is still the same old link, facebook.com/ROTMG. The Tumblr, blog.wildshadow.com. And if you have artwork, we're still looking for it, artist.rotmg@gmail.com. If you go up on Twitter, you can use the hashtag RealmCast, and I'll be sure to answer any questions you might have about this or any other podcast RealmCast that we have done previously. Gonna exit this podcast, Season 2, Episode 8 now, with a song by Thug Zero. And, guys, I'm always looking for songs. So, hit me up. Artist.rotmg@gmail.com is just one of the many ways you can submit your song for RealmCast.
Neat.
All right. Thanks, and we shall see you soon.
Bye, guys.